when he arrives, we'll just edit that part out, that transition out. Just act natural. From Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Truth It.
I'm Michael.
Hey, Michael. I'm Adam. Nice to meet you, too.
You guys sit right there.
Me here?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
You're good.
This is so cool. Look at this.
Thank you. So, Daniel, our girl, as I'm sitting in the chair today, says to me, what are you guys talking about today? I said, I'm not sure. We got this cat, Adam, coming in. I don't know anything about him. I pull you up on LinkedIn. She and I are doing this review of you. And she looks at me and says, that sounds so boring. And I said, yeah, it probably is. And she said, well, what do you want to talk about? And I said, I want to talk about something that we barely touched on that is so hard for us to talk about as men. And she just stopped cutting my hair. She comes around and faces me and says, what is it? I said, I want to talk about truth in relationships. And she just stops, stares, and said, like, what kind of truth? And I said, are there more than one kind of truths? And she said, oh, man, you guys have got to talk about this. She said, are you talking finance, infidelity? Are you talking, what are you talking about? And I said, all of it. And I said, we barely touched on it when Carrie sat down with us in an episode, and we started to share the feelings and thoughts we have as men and how we don't want to burden our spouse with those feelings. And those feelings are usually the burdensome of life, like finances or whatever, right?
For sure.
Big one. And
Raising kids, am I a good enough dad?
Yes.
Because I'm so busy.
yes.
And the kids miss me. Am I there enough? I did come to the second half of that one game.
I'm trying to provide for the
Yeah.
family. I'm working my ass off, but am
Yeah.
I being a good... So she looked at me and she's like, you guys got to do this. And I said, yeah, I know, but man, we got to be vulnerable, and it is so hard to do. And she said, what's the episode with Carrie? I want to go back and listen to that. I said, shit, I don't know. I got to go find it. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
that was my conversation this
We're
morning.
never going to have a conversation like that.
No, please, no.
Can
It's
I
dreadful.
Can I tell you about something that happened to me last week?
I can't
Are we
wait.
recording right
We
now?
are recording.
Yeah, it's all
Oh,
good.
you...
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll edit.
I didn't even catch your name.
Oh, my gosh. Adam.
Well,
Michael.
yeah. What?
Michael?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just make yourself comfortable.
Yeah, I was like, okay, and here I
No,
am.
we're just talking. We're just
Usually we record for a little bit just to
Okay.
get used to
Yeah.
recording, and then we'll edit out
Okay,
sections
cool.
at the beginning,
you're cool.
depending on
soft
whether it's
conversation.
fluff or whatever.
Awesome.
So I was over at Padded Shoe for a meeting.
This week or last week?
Was that this week? That was this week.
Priorities are important. So location, Stutz or
Stutz
Simon
building.
Okay, Stutz building.
It was
Got
fantastic.
It's always great.
And I knew I was meeting with one person who's been a guest, a friend of the podcast, Matt Sovereigns,
Oh,
the
sure.
musician.
Yeah,
I was
hey,
meeting
Matt.
with him. We were meeting for lunch. And then I'm like right in eyesight of the door that kind of looks out to the street.
Sure.
And I see his mom, who I know.
Matt's mom.
Pull up and park. And I'm like, it looks like it's going to be a family affair. So
Did you know this?
no, I had no
Okay.
idea. So I got like the smallest table for,
So it's
for only two people.
That couch corner and the chair.
Yeah. It's the one right at the front behind the hostess stand.
I know exactly where it is.
So I'm like, okay, well, it's probably going to be three people. She gets in and says, just act like I'm not here. I'm like, well, I've already forgotten. So anyway,
Can't help it.
by the end of our conversation, she says, hey, I have something for you. And it is this Basil Hayden's Dark Rye,
Oh.
which she was like, I know you have a collection. I hope you don't have this in your
Wait.
collection. And I was like, I don't.
She walked into the restaurant with it?
No. We walked out to her
okay.
car, which
Thank you.
was,
Yeah.
directly out the door.
Yeah, right.
And so I, got this fantastic rye that I get to try at some point. And usually the thing about Basil Hayden is it's sort of like this very mellow,
I've
middle
had
of the road flavor. It's not striking or anything like that. But the rye, I'm guessing, is going to be more notable. I'm hoping that it is like really rich. So I'm excited to try
I
it.
think you'll like it. I've had it before. I think it was last winter. It was really, really good. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I'm just saying maybe.
Looks like one of my cameras is dead.
So I think it's covered right there. So, Adam, this is new for us. We started to video our podcast last week
Okay.
with great success. We had one camera. Daniel has converted the office into a full, honest-to-God studio.
Yeah, it is. It's
Every week I come in here, there's something new, and I think next week I'm going to have egg cartons on the wall or on the ceiling or
has
both.
to. That's definitely
right?
the next step.
I know it's starting
Yeah.
to scare
How
me.
do you two know each other?
Oh, boy.
That's a great question, and I'm glad you
I
asked.
just covered all 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Go ahead.
Michael and I met through networking probably 17, 18 years ago.
Rainmaker.
By way
I
It
was
was
there.
Rainmaker-ish.
I was standing in the corner.
Yeah.
Going, I don't want to go to these anymore.
Rainmakers was kind of the place where I discovered the business world, and I knew it
I
existed.
think we met through that.
Yeah, I
think
know that.
that's where
I know that we
Did you
did.
really?
I just don't remember the moment.
Same,
like I remember.
but that's how we knew each other, was through
Rainmakers.
I think so.
I definitely knew a lot of the spin web folks.
Yes.
I knew Michael Reynolds pretty well. So I meet Michael through this group that some banker had put together that he wanted to create a little bit more concentrated networking value.
Oh, my God.
And
Tillis
Terry
in.
Pletz.
Yeah, Terry Pletz. Oh,
Good
man.
guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
And so we connected right away because of our appreciation for the whole notion that networking is bullshit.
Gosh, I would have been fast friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you can remove all the things that make it networking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if networking is business cards and button-down shirts and handshakes,
Right.
it's terrible.
Right.
But if networking is just the byproduct of having good friendships and investing in those friendships and hanging out and having a good time and occasionally expanding your circle to people that are, light friends to,
Yeah.
people that are in your life more and in your life a little less, but they're genuine relationships. That's what is fantastic. And the thing about these networking circles is a lot of times they're trying to push leads to people, right?
Love pushing leads. And who do you know?
And
I want to know
What
this
I've learned is
person.
a lot of people know me because I get a lot of those.
yeah, they're coming your way.
Don't you love the ones that come at you from LinkedIn? Hey, I was on LinkedIn and I saw you've got 500 contacts and I want to meet this person. You're like, I'm like 3 people removed from that person. I haven't talked to them in 5 years.
You ever get those messages that are like somebody on LinkedIn is saying, I was really impressed
Oh, yeah.
by your work and there's some AI string.
Yes.
And then
yes.
would you like to open a franchise?
Yes.
Of what kind?
Dude, I just got that one
I
yesterday.
get that one, and then the paid board opportunities.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
that's a
please.
classic.
I'll leave out the
Yeah.
company, but it reaches out all the time.
Crap. Can we go back, though? I think we did meet through Terry, and I remember that. But you were in the Stutz building, too, at the time, right? Or did we
Yeah,
meet
we were
the same
both in the
time,
Stutz
right?
building.
Yeah.
So I think our first actual interaction
Yeah.
was just trading tables.
That's
Just
by way
moving
of...
by way of Aaron Douglas.
Shit. Wow.
So,
Wow.
so Adam, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, Adam.
How did you find your way into this studio?
And how did you get to Ball State? That's what I really want to know.
Well, my mom and dad went to Ball State.
Did
My
they
brother
really?
went to Ball State, and I
You had to.
and I grew up in Muncie,
Come on.
at Yorktown to be specific.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bow
yeah.
tie of Muncie.
Yeah, right. The bow tie
I
of
like
Muncie.
it.
Yeah.
And
Ivanhoe's Ice Creamery.
at the
to
time I
north.
never even thought of. Like I didn't apply to a single other school.
Yeah,
That was like
yeah.
that was
Yeah.
like my world. My world
Yeah.
was like this,
Yeah.
and it actually was a great experience for me.
Yeah.
I loved it there.
Oh, you went to Ball State too?
Yes, yes,
Chirp,
I loved
chirp.
it. Yeah,
Wow.
right. I know, I loved
Chirp
it.
chirp. Is
Chirp,
that,
chirp. That's our
And then
cardinal.
you do this right here.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
Is that
That's
why
a real
nobody
thing.
does it? It's a secret handshake because it's so goofy.
It's not secret.
I love doing it. You're on vacation. You see somebody
Yeah.
with a Ball State. I love doing this. Walk by.
Or you'll walk by and just go chirp, chirp, and
Yeah.
they'll turn and like, oh my God, you
Yeah.
went to Ball State. Yeah. I grew up in the MAC conference. I grew up in Northern Illinois. So NIU it was in
Yes.
the conference way back when. It still is. And when my family moved down to Indianapolis in 1985, I had no idea where the hell I was going to school. So I applied to all the schools. And back then, if you had a heartbeat, you got accepted. So Purdue, IU, Indiana State, Ball State.
if you had a heartbeat and you were white.
Yeah, and had money, or at least
You
the
might-
facade of being able to pay a
Yeah,
tuition.
facade of money.
Yeah. And I ended up I toured the year before I was at IU for football camp, and that place scared me. It was just beautiful, but it was so big compared to where I was coming from. And I went to Ball State, and I was like, yeah, I like it.
Feels like home.
Yeah, that's all there was to it. I mean, it didn't. Today, what children go through, what your kids have gone through, man,
Right, it's my world right now.
I couldn't. Are you going through that with your children?
Are your kids getting close to college?
Yesterday was the big day because that was Purdue and IU's.
Really?
My son
kidding.
got into Purdue
Nice.
engineering, which he's
Congrats.
wanted to do forever.
That's
so
awesome.
super exciting.
How old's your son?
He's 17. He's a senior.
Where's
so
he
you
going?
have a 17-year-old
And a 16-year-old,
and
two
16-year-old.
boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where high school? What high
At
school?
Zionsville.
At Zionsville. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, they both want to be. They're both super into robotics. That's like their world.
It's the place to be.
And so they both want to be engineers. And
There you go.
They've wanted to go to Purdue forever. So, but it's hard. It's hard to get into right now. And I'm amazed at like how seriously he and. Here's the thing I haven't figured out about the culture right now. Actually, we'll get into.
Are we talking about the overall
American
culture?
Yes. About no. Let's go with the like Gen Z culture.
Oh, okay.
And how
please.
people.
Oh,
how
you just
I'm
had an
excited
interview
about
with
this one.
this.
how people talk about Gen Z versus what my current experience is.
I don't talk about Gen
Like
Z.
because on the one side I see this collection of kids who are like trying so hard at school and they're balancing out their resumes and they're so committed and it's a huge part of their life, and I'm just so impressed. And then you talk about early stage workforce and all I hear is like people who are like work-life balance and boundaries and flexibility.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's hard for me to picture the kids. I mean, most of the people are these 17 and 18-year-olds that I see this incredible drive and ambition.
Yeah.
That there's a part of me that's like, I can't wait to see that in the workforce.
Yeah.
Like that type of person,
Can we hold off on that for a second?
Yeah.
Do we not think that type of person has always existed in every generational classification?
The deadbeat?
No, the other piece, the one he just
the
said.
high drive, the
Yeah,
high.
there's I when I look back on it, I think that person has always existed, but it gets overshadowed by the work-life balance, or I don't want a big house. I watched my parents go through the financial struggles of the 2008 or whatever, right? So they've got this mystified version of what they want their life to be, which is the exact opposite of what we've gone through.
Right.
Or I just don't want to work that hard. And then we see that, or we've hired those individuals into our businesses, and we're like, you got to be shitting me.
Yeah.
I mean,
what is different about what appears to be different to me about Gen Z is that there's a couple of factors that have changed the way that people are relating to work. So there's always that high drive, low drive type personalities.
right.
But what you have with Gen Z is you have these people that have been surrounded by the idea of remote work, so they think that is a given in some cases, and some do, some don't.
Right.
And then you have the whole notion of they've always lived on their phone, so their social skills are weak because they haven't had to do as many things that put
They
their
haven't had to go to those
personality.
awkward networking events we're all talking about.
Exactly.
I just got invited to one the other day. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go.
And but also it's like when I was first entering the workforce, you didn't apply online because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
The internet existed, but it was for
not
very
like
specialized uses, and like the government and porn and chat rooms. And
I like how you led with porn and then government.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, go on.
So you had to talk to somebody face to face that you didn't know to pitch your what you could contribute to their business. And the other thing that I felt like was normal back in those days, and you're just slightly off our generation. You and I are about the same age.
Yeah.
Is that you didn't assume that as a new person in the business that you deserved to be given an executive position, right? That there was this expectation that you know, in my first job, I copied the boss. I did everything that he did. I even took on some personality traits that I was just like, he was, the model that I was trying to match. And then the promotions came to me because I was working so hard and eventually got good at the work that I was doing.
This is what I'm driving at, right? So you were able to, you wanted to put in the time, make an effort,
Yep.
and you watched what was working and embodied that into who you were.
And I was
right?
impatient, but I didn't expect it to come overnight.
Right.
And I feel like Gen Z is, and I heard this from another, family member who manages multiple people, that the young people are coming in and expecting promotions right away or quickly. Quick turn.
They want what you have now.
Yeah.
I remember when I came right out of college, I went to work for Owens, Illinois, based out of Toledo, Ohio. I got sent down to Miami, Florida. So Midwest kid going down to Miami. And the guys in Toledo said to me, if you just show up. And if you're on time, you'll beat 50% of the group of people that you start with. And there were like 7 of us. By year 2, there were 3 of us. By year 5, there was 2 of us. Mm-hmm. That was it. And the stuff that blew my mind, everyone had to have a degree. So you couldn't get hired by OI at the time without a degree. So that was number 1. You had to carry a certain GPA. Okay. Got it. So the people I trained with, that I was recruited with, all seemed like smart, dynamic people, right? But the shenanigans they pulled, one was using the country club Monday through Friday and logging in on the tee sheet, and his GM found out that maybe he wasn't making the sales calls because he was supposed to be at an account and he wasn't there. And he happened to be the same member at the same club, his boss. Mm-hmm. So he called in the pro shop and said, hey, how often is Todd in there? He's like, what day of the week? Todd got fired. And so Kevin was next. And there were all these examples. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. And so I always, it's all these years later, that note still rings true to me. Just if you show up and be on time, showing up means being present, right? But if you show up and you're on time, you win half the battle, right?
So Adam, you've been in the people space for a period of time. What did you see of the young people in the office?
Well, it's such a complicated. It's kind of, I feel lots of feelings, because in one sense, like I'm like the oldest millennial basically, right? And my first 10 years in the workforce, I felt like was all millennial bashing. Like that was the whole experience, right? And I feel like what's happened in my book, I talk about this concept of like a new generation enters the workforce and they flip the values system of the workforce. Yeah. And it starts with them. I think they do it.
Do you think so?
I do. I think whatever values that new generation brings in, everybody else starts to go, well, yeah, I want that too. So if you think about like...
But they don't get it, do they?
They do.
Really?
Yeah, because they have power eventually. Now, there's
numbers.
In numbers, they have power, and it ebbs and flows. Like right now, for example, we're in a low power season. It flips really quickly, though. It could be 6 months from now when the market's really good, and then
tell me what that means. Low power season.
Like where the people at the top of the organizations have the most power because the labor market's weak right now.
Yeah, gotcha.
But if you think about, so just let's look at millennials, right, as an example. Right before them, it was security, compensation, benefits, really valued, right? When millennials entered the workforce, it started to be like authentic leadership, working for a company that matters, like doing work that's meaningful, all those things. And they actually started to even move up, creep in toward like things like pay. And everybody else is going, well, yeah, I guess I kind of want that too, right? And then now you see there are elements like flexibility is a huge one, like that. And
can thank
everybody else is
pandemic
going,
for that.
yeah, I want flexibility too.
Yeah.
There's a collective.
But okay, so maybe what I think maybe you're pointing out, whether you intend to say this or not, the people that are ahead of them, so the middle generation in the workforce, is saying it has never been that way. So I've never thought to ask for anything else.
So they start negative and they go, oh, what's like, that's why I'm always apprehensive. Even like when I talk about Gen Z, I'm always like, well, hold on, let me be careful here, because I know I've been on the other side of that. And it starts with bashing and then it goes, actually, I want that. And so I actually think there's a lot of elements of really great things from that. Like, I think people are less loyal to companies today than they've ever been. Yeah. And I think that is highly warranted.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody experienced it in the
for sure.
In the pandemic. They're like, what am I so loyal for? You know?
Yeah. I want to back up though. Go back to so you talked about seasonality in terms of flipping the power. Salesforce came out. When did they come out? Last year, and they said everyone's coming back to work.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't give a shit if you do or you don't.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a job. And there were other companies that said the same thing. I feel like they did that regardless of what you just said, wherever that power script was, they just said, you're back or you're not.
Yeah, I
Do you
believe that's
agree
because they felt like they had the power dynamic.
Okay.
And a
So
lot
you
of
really-
and a lot of them tried that and it didn't work. You know, a lot of they mandated it and people are like, all right, like I'll just. But the thing is, when you can apply for a job while working the current job you have,
Yeah.
like you do have a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
But it's not right now real time. There's a lot of power with employers.
Do you think from a management perspective or even an executive level that companies view that in good light? What you just said. In other words, if I have a job and I'm navigating towards another company at a higher level, I'm not so sure I want that person. Like the loyalty thing plays big in my book.
Yeah.
So I'm either coming at, I would have more respect for the individual if I came after them versus them coming to me saying, hey, I see you have an opening for an executive VP. I happen to be working over here, but I'd like to come work for you. My spidey senses would go up immediately. Like, why are you unhappy? Why do you think it's going to be better here?
Yeah.
The loyalty goes right.
I've had that happen.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it happen.
And when somebody comes to you and they're like, saying, they're interested in the position because it's going to be so great. And then you're hearing these complaints about their other employer, their current employer, and maybe some of them sound reasonable and some of them sound like, well, you're going to deal with the same shit here.
Right.
Because people work here too.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of take it back to sports a little bit in that when you're a kid, I was always taught if you're good, the good team will find you, or the team that you want to be in, they'll find you. You don't go looking to be on the team. They'll come find you. And I took that to heart, and that played out true in my life. And in business, for the most part, that played out true. I never went looking for job opportunities with other companies as much as other companies came to talk to me based on current performance or whatever. And I always thought that was a better position to be in. And when I got in those positions, much like what you're talking about, Daniel, I would have people coming at me saying, I want to come work with you or come work for the company that you work for. I'd be like, yeah, man, maybe it's just because of that little piece I shared with you guys early on in my childhood that resonated with me. So I think today's kids, and I'm saying the 30-year-olds I'm referring to as kids, they get in those positions, and I've got a couple nephews that are going through this right now. They've moved on to other companies. They've chased it. And now suddenly people are looking at them just a little bit differently, and they can see it. They can see it in the management room that you got here because you came to us. We didn't come find you. And I'd be curious to get your input on that, Adam, because you've seen companies grow and you've chased people, I'm sure, to come work for you, as well as you've had people say, I want to come work for you.
Yeah.
Do you feel there's a difference there, or do you not?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a great opinion. I don't feel strongly either way about it. I don't have a big I've always viewed loyalty as a thing that as a leader it's your job to earn. The employee owes me nothing. Like
That's
as far
bullshit.
as their loyalty.
Adam,
right?
that's ridiculous.
But what I know is that if I can create like environments where people feel like there's some way that they're learning, something they're growing, like a way that they're growing, that I'm candid with them and how I feel like they're doing, and I care about them as people, and I make their work worthwhile, right? Beyond just like show up at this time, leave at that time, which is also in my story. I was like, that's my big turning point. Is a boss said that to me too, and I was like, and then I showed up on time and left on time and played fantasy football all day, and I was like, is that really what work is? And so I think if you can create some sort of meaning beyond that, you build these deep loyal connections with people, and then people work for those people. People want to work for those people. But
I agree with that.
I also have this other thing I tell people all the time is like you are a miniature business yourself, like every single person, right? 100%. You are the CEO of yourself. And so you should have agency to make the best decisions all along the way that work for you. It's okay.
Well, and I guess one way to put that is you're selling your time and commitment of mind space to this company. That should come with something that you're delivering, but it also is a decision that you get to make, right? To I'm giving this block of time, this level of commitment, but it's mine to give, right? Or to sell. But I like that CEO mindset.
Yeah, like
yourself.
you're the CEO of yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
And one of the reasons why I like that is because when you are running your own business, it immediately shifts the way that you make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You care more about your customer than you do. But I'm not saying that employees don't often care deeply about their customers. I think they often do. But you just have this higher level of concern for your customer when you know that feeds you and everything that makes your business tick. So if you can somehow as an individual put yourself in that same mindset, then you're going to value your company as a resource for your business of which you're the CEO. But also, I don't know. I just think that there is a mindset that can come out of that. Could be really good.
Yeah. I always find myself bringing that up with people right when they're on the precipice of a big career decision.
Yeah.
And it's usually between loyalty at a place where maybe they've accomplished everything that was left to accomplish, but they haven't seen the full story. Like the company maybe hasn't sold or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
And a new opportunity that's away. And there's not, it's like,
Yeah,
is there a right or wrong answer? Not really. It's just like, what do you want to do?
Yeah. When I talk about loyalty, I'm not talking about loyalty with ignorance, right?
Right.
It's loyalty to the job, the thing I said I was going to do, I'm doing. And if another company comes looking for me, that's fair.
Yeah.
But
I'm
in a
not
way
searching them
that
out.
seems like loyal to yourself too.
100%.
Because it's like, part of my reputation is I say I'm going to do something and then I do it.
Absolutely.
So Adam, tell us what you do, because I know Michael only kind of knows and our listeners don't know at all.
I kind of know.
Well, today I'm an executive coach. That's what I do now.
Yeah.
And I support.
What is that? Hold on.
What's an executive coach?
That's smoke and mirror. What the hell? That's a facade. What is it? Tell us what it is. Tell us what an executive coach is.
Well, I mean, every CEO and really any executive, right, faces they're containers that face endless amounts of pressure. So it comes from the board, comes from their peers, comes from employees, and it comes from their customers.
Yep.
And internal, what happens is they start bringing up as you all both been in leadership, you start to face all these unresolved aspects of who you are. They start to show up and self-sabotage in ways that you're not proud of, and you really end up in this chaotic mental, at times you can end up in these chaotic mental environments where you just don't have an outlet, someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And I mean,
so they call you and say, hey, Adam, how are you?
Yeah. I mean, it's therapy adjacent work. I'd say what I do, I call it like from chaos to clarity, right? I help people go take what's inside, learn more about themselves, add intentionality to how they show up in environments. Great example yesterday. I was talking to one of my clients who's about to go into a really big meeting, and it's like you can either show up as you've always shown up, or you can decide in advance how you want people to receive you.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the one thing you already know before this meeting happens that's going to set you off? And everybody always knows. They just don't take the time to pause. And so we talk about that moment before it happens, and then so it can look a lot of different ways. Part of what I love, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur also at heart, and so I work with a huge range. I don't have this is why I'm bad at networking stuff too, by the way, and tight podcast answers.
So as the executive
Everybody's
coach.
like, I work with this size company and this person at this. I don't. I work with people in all, because it's not about me. It's about other people and their own stories and where they are and what's blocking them from getting where they want to get. And I get out of the way and try to help them in that journey of making progress in their life. So it looks a lot like, I'd say, CEOs who are experiencing a ton of pressure and need that trusted voice to think through a hard problem that doesn't have a right answer. It has 5 right answers.
Right.
Isn't that what their senior staff is for?
It's not the same.
Really?
With your senior staff, if you're a CEO and you're 100% transparent with your senior staff, I've seen this. I see this all the time. You will create more issues than lot often. Or if you're super vulnerable with your board.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would never recommend.
We built the goals, and
I would never be vulnerable.
We've got no
with the
chance
board.
to actually hit them. You can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe if you're not vulnerable enough, you fall short as well.
Yeah, it's a delicate. I mean, it's just a constant tension. So that's at one group, and then another is like a first-time executive who's got a lot of pressure on them, maybe like their own growth. is like humans. People can't see my hand. Oh, you can because it's video. Some
That's
people-
Yeah, we can
right.
see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most people grow like this, right? The whole spirit of coaching is that you can increase the growth trajectory.
Yeah.
And like a new executive who the business really needs to perform really quickly.
Yeah.
Businesses often do grow like this, but people are like this. And so what we try to do is bridge the gap between those two things.
Interesting.
So, and what did you do before that?
Yeah, before that.
Well, I spent the last 15 years in the culture and leadership development space as an entrepreneur. So I had a startup called Amplify where we measured cultures, coached executives on how to build high performance teams, looked at why people are leaving their jobs, what's going on at the company that creates we're looking for patterns, not like individual issues. And so it really started with that. And we had a team of coaches there who coached, and I always was like, I would love to do the work myself versus just, leading people. And so now I do that.
What patterns did you find, by the way?
Oh gosh, in the data, I can summarize. There's basically, if I were to summarize like 1 million data points, which is roughly what we had, like a lot of employees giving feedback. I would say one is there's usually one of the top 3 people in a company is an asshole.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And they're wreaking havoc on the entire organization.
That's what the employees say.
Yes.
And
Their perception.
And they're.
I
I don't
actually
agree
think-
with them. I don't agree with them.
Okay.
I think I'm fine, but
That person doesn't. Yeah. But a lot of times our data was telling them for the first time. I will say they were finding out
For
that
the
about
that the
themselves.
organization was finding out, or the individual.
The asshole was finding
Got it,
out. Yeah.
got it.
Got the cold splash of water in the
Yeah.
face. And usually the challenge is that because this is usually a person who owns the revenue function, or it's a CEO who has no checks and balances. Like those are the two main ones.
Right.
And the other senior leaders, for whatever reason, are too scared to make a hard decision.
Yeah.
So that is the most common thing in everything I ever saw.
I would agree with
And the
all
courage
of
to make that decision to go, this person actually doesn't act aligned to our values. Like they don't really represent who we are. It's not, but it's a bold.
So as a coach, is it better for you to be working with that team of 3 than the team of 1 who is likely the CEO asshole?
It totally, it is very situationally dependent on that. I will say coaching is only fun when the person is hungry for that growth. And I will say a lot of times when you pinpoint that person, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Right.
But it's not always true. Like people genuinely can change when they themselves have soft hearts, are willing to grow, are at an inflection point in their life. And those are the ones that are the coolest too. Yeah. So that's one thing I'd say. The other one I would say is just like, and this will probably be the least surprising thing you've heard, but it's like a top line performer gets promoted into management, and then you picture a company being like 500, 1,000, 2,000 people, and so then it's happening at scale throughout the company, and it wreaks total havoc. There's no training. We basically minimize that management is a learned skill, and so then what that person does is, because they were the best one at the job, they just start doing 3 people's jobs, and at first it looks good,
until it
then
doesn't.
it doesn't, and then everything falls apart. So if I were to summarize 10 years of employee data,
That's good stuff.
basically the
I would agree with that.
That was a tight podcast answer, because that has got to be complicated to summarize all of what you learned over that course of time. So the reason why we brought you onto this show
I'm really
is
curious about
because
this.
Michael and
am too.
Michael and I don't believe in business coaches.
Oh, okay.
I would say
I like this. Like, come on now. Oh my gosh.
Knives are flying.
What he's won.
Knives are flying.
I would say that I am I'm overstating my disbelief.
Sure.
I think I'm
the
somewhere in the
drama.
middle.
Yeah.
But Michael is completely bearish on
I
business
am.
coaches.
I am.
There's always one asshole.
There is, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly
They
right.
just don't know it.
He's
So
got
what-
leadership written all
So
over
what
him.
you said
I already
earlier,
pinpointed it before we started.
it was really hard. 2 of us, me. You said something that I could not agree with more in your findings in that data,
That's a very nice statement.
and
by the way.
that is sometimes management knows what needs to be done, but they choose not to do it. So you know what they do? And I've lived through this on both sides, as an employee and as an officer of the company. They hire a consultant, or they hire coaches to come in to unburden themselves with the reality of which they already know. Because I would argue maybe you get 1 out of 100 at that level that are ignorant to the situation. But I would argue almost all of them know the situation and choose
and the decision.
not to, correct and choose not to want to move on that decision. So they'll bring in a coach or they'll bring in consultants at stupid dollars. They'll sit there for 6 to 9 months and disrupt everything in the business and ultimately come to the same stinking conclusion, and that is you need to do X. And in the entire time, that management team knows X needs to be done, but they don't do it.
And also that company gets the benefit of someone to blame if it goes
wrong. The CEO of the company that I'm referencing said to me up front, that's why we brought him in. And that's the God's honest truth. After $2.5 million of a consultant group coming into the business back in 1992, 93, letting them come in and wreak havoc for almost 9 months. And everyone knew what had to be done. No one had the gumption to do it. Yeah. But when a consultant, you pay $2.5 million, a group to come in to tell you that's what you should do, it's really easy to fall back on that and say, they told us we need to do this, so we're going to do it.
Well,
so that was phase 1. So I really struggled with that.
What do you think about that, Adam?
What about what?
Everything that Michael just said.
Well, it sounds like you had a really bad experience.
Well, so let me.
Sounds like you haven't had a.
So let me give you experience number 2.
Yeah.
So you fast forward 18 years, 17, 18 years, 16 years, whatever it was. I'm an officer of a publicly traded company, running $180 million division. We are the stronghold of the company. We are the most profitable entity of that company. We know emphatically what we have to do. We know we have to sell the company or bankruptcy is imminent. We know this. We know all of the manufacturing that's taking place stateside needs to go overseas. We know that's failing. We know all the KPIs are there. You can see it as, you can read the tea leaves. It's not complicated. You know what we do? We go hire a consulting group to spend money that we don't have, to have the consulting group come back and say exactly what we already knew. And that consulting group wreaked havoc because the management team that was in play, they thought certain managers were the wrong people to have in. They got it back asswards. The ones they kept were their buddies or the ones that they were affiliated with because of university or past work experience or past mutual connections in the world of networking, that you know so-and-so, therefore you're good. I don't know anything about you. You're probably out, right? And it was ugly. That company went bankrupt ultimately.
But they knew that needed to happen.
Yeah.
But what about a company that is not like a global enterprise that's maybe 1,000 employees or less, or 10, 50, 100 employees? I don't know,
10 employees, right?
Small to mid market.
Yeah, $3 to $5 million.
And the consultancy is not a consultancy; it's an individual consultant or coach. Yeah. Working directly with that CEO and maybe other executives as well. Right. What's so different about that scenario? Is that the same?
No, it's not the same. It is different. And I'm a bad person to ask about this, right?
That's why we're asking you.
My wife would sit down and tell you that her coaching with Des early on in the business was just...
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Just huge. Just huge for Lori. For me, I feel like you're telling me stuff I already know. Right. And I'm the worst because I have the attitude that I know as much as you do or more. Right. And that whatever you're going to tell me, I really have a hard time with business coaches in this perspective at this level that we're talking about, Daniel. Yeah. Because most of those coaches have never owned a company. They've never had to make the hard decisions of writing a check for payroll that you don't have. Yeah. Right. So I find it disingenuous at times, and that pisses me off. So I get a little angry about it.
Yeah. Or I get, especially if it's like, because there's a difference between, and there's different styles of we're talking about consulting and coaching, which can get a little blurry. But then 2 is like, are you going to your coach for advice, or are you going to your coach as a way for you? Like if I coach I've got a couple clients who are well-known, write books, know way more subject matter expertise than me, and have built companies that are far exceed anything I've ever done. Yeah. The last thing that person needs from me is for me to tell them how to run their business, right? What they need from me, though, is a container to be an observer again in their own life. Like it's so easy in life, especially you create these little prisons on accident that you show up every single day and you do things a certain way. And I think part of my job is to still stay an observer. I'm not in this thing with you. Yeah. So I can ask you questions. I can think through different options with you. I can bring, like, have you thought of it this way?
See, I've already changed my mind. I'm going to hire Adam.
But ultimately, all I'm trying to do is to get you. Yeah. What happens is when you start laying out all your options, I trust high intellect people to help just tap into your wisdom, basically, is what I'm trying to get them to. Like, where is your wisdom? Because too often the thing that's on the tip of your tongue is not your wisdom. It's the prison, right? And so I'm trying to get deeper than that. It's the simplest version of it.
And I think you're right about that. Years ago, I had made I think I shared this with you, Daniel. I made a comment to Des, who's become a good friend of ours over the years, that I wasn't sure what the culture of our business was. And she just looked at me and said, well, I know what it is. How do you not know? I said, I think I know, but I really don't know. And she said, I can prove to you that you know, but you just don't think you know. I said, how? And she said, next week, you and Lori, my wife, who started this business, we're going to get together and I'm going to take you through an exercise. It'll take maybe a half hour. I said, okay. So Lori gets 50 cards. I get 50 cards. They're all one words: love, peace, happiness, kindness, anger, hatred, faith, whatever. You got to cut that deck to 25, 25 to 15, 15 to 10.
About your company?
10 to 5. Just these, whatever they are. Okay. The priority of
so
those 5 things.
It's not associated with anything. This is just like, what do you like or want
What's
to keep?
important in your life?
What's important in your life?
Yeah,
got it. There we go.
These things, right? Yeah. So I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it to this day. Lori and I have the exact same 5 cards. And Des looks at me, love, kindness, respect, truthful, and sympathy was the one. Empathy comes up in just a minute. And I'm like, come on, that's my wife. Of course, we're best friends. She's going to have the same as me. I'm going to have the same as her. And she said, your team will have the same. I said, no freaking way. And she said, I'll prove it to you. So she came to the office. We did the experiment. There are 4 women in the office, and all 4 women pulled the exact same cards with the exception of Hannah. She pulls empathy instead of sympathy. And I mean,
they sound similar.
Yeah, well, sort of. So I just remember I felt like I must have gone white because Des looked at me and said, are you okay? And I said, yeah. But I mean,
that's pretty cool.
Dude, that just moved me.
You brought up, though, it's interesting how culture, if you think about culture at scale, like you actually brought up a really common thing that I work on and for years is like culture ripples naturally for about 20 to 30 people. Yeah. And then you basically have to take that goodness and then how do you do it at scale to create culture at scale? Right. Because that kind of founder leader orbit only has a certain reach.
So that's when Des. So if I can finish this for a second, that's how Des got to me. Okay, that's how the coaching. Yeah. It wasn't coaching and it wasn't consultative. It was more insightful. It was more about what you said.
It was the observation stuff.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah. And that does resonate with me. But there are not many of you that talk like that, by the way.
And I think giving people, just calling a timeout in some ways on life, like that, I think for me, my clients, I meet with every other week, every other week for an hour, right? And that time is like your moment of it's a hard job. I know that they're all working really long hours and tons of stress and pressure, which is not when you're your clearest. Yeah. And it's like just one moment to take a deep breath. Just like, what is here?
Does the company pay you or do they pay you? And is it a company expense or is it a personal expense?
Vast majority of the time it's company expense. Some people, when the company doesn't pay me out of pocket. Yeah. And then I just, handle it a little differently.
Do you charge 2 different rates? Yeah. Company versus personal?
Of course. Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry. You were going to say something.
Yeah. Well, I think Adam's default is to help people. And so instead of make sure his revenues are highest. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think part of being a coach, there's a duty to it too. Like where you go, my job is to help people. I was just talking to my wife this week. Like it's an emotionally taxing job. It is. One of my clients I don't know how you do this all day. Sit and listen to all these hard things I'm dealing with, and then you get off the phone, you do it again, and I've been full time at it for a year and a half. I'd be lying if I said that I don't have days where it gets to me, where multiple people are going through something that's so hard. And I am a person that really, I invest in people. But
so you feel those feelings.
I do. I've gotten better. Like I've gotten better with my boundaries with it. And like,
have you?
Yes. I've noticed, and my wife actually encouraged me to do this. She was like, hey, when you coach at the end of the day, like 3 and 4, she's like, you can sense, and so like I now pull all my coaching earlier in the day because that way when I'm with my kids and my family, I'm not like bringing that heaviness.
That's smart.
Yeah,
I like that.
But I would have never known. It's funny is when I first built it, I was like, this is a lifestyle job. It's so awesome. I'm going to coach at 3 and 4 every day, long mornings, do yoga, play pickleball, lift weights, like meditate, you know. And then I get to the end of the day and I'm like, I'm already tired at 3 anyway. It's like it's
all that pickleball.
Yeah.
I always ask the people that like the barber or anyone that's working on
our
my
mutual
body.
barber is a frequent appearance on the show.
She's awesome. But the chiropractor, a barber, I'll say, hey, what are your best hours? And invariably, everyone says, all day. I'm like, bullshit. Your best hours are when you're freshest. When do you feel the freshest? 9 to 10 a.m. with her, the barber, the chiropractor, anytime before noon, because you know what happens after noon? You're worn out, right? Just like you. You're emotionally spent. And so, I appreciate you saying that. I do think that your industry gets a bad vibe, though, or a bad riff.
Bad rap.
Well, bad rap, yes.
Is that what you mean? The reputation of the industry?
I do. Because you've got coaching out there or coaches that use, there's one in particular, it's a franchise group, and it's how many leads do you generate? How many do you close? And you got to do this number to get this.
Like a sales type.
Yeah, it's just a mathematics equation, right?
Well, the thing is, there's no barrier to becoming a coach.
There's not.
There's no overhead.
The barrier is will people pay you?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so the type of clients you get are the type of people that trust you, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'll air my skepticism of coaches.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I've had a coach 80% of the time I've been in business, so I'm hypocritical to say. I should just say that I have this space for it, but I'm so selective of it because I think that it's easier to find a bad coach than a good one.
Sure.
Right? Because of the barrier is so low. And there was this one point in time where I was going through a particular stage of change in my business, and I wanted someone to help me through it.
Yeah.
But there was the one person I did not want, and I had moved on from a prior business coach, which was a phenomenal relationship, but it was something I grew out of.
Yeah, which happens for sure.
The one thing I did not want is someone who coaches for a living. I wanted someone who does these things at a higher scale than me for a living. Yeah. So I called a business owner that was far ahead of me in success and growth. And I said, hey, would you be my business coach? I'm dealing with these things, and I just need someone to talk to for, intermittent intervals. Basically, I just need to meet with someone a couple times a month. Right. And he was really flattered and turned me down because he was too damn busy.
Right. He's like, but I need one.
Hey, thanks for thinking of me. No. Jeez, do I know this guy?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not a name I'll mention.
No, that's why I'm asking
on the show right now. But and him turning me down was like for good reasons, and he had things going on with his business as well that he needed to have his attention on.
Right.
But I was just like, that's what I was looking for. Is I was looking for someone who's done this before, and they don't have to have all the answers. They just have some context that I didn't have. Right. So that's one of the things I like about you, Adam, is that you, and I don't know if this matches to your clients, but you've done a lot of the things that you're coaching on, or as I understand it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Exactly. And I don't know that there are a lot of coaches who haven't, who I think are great coaches too. Yeah. I do. And I think how you coach is reflective of that, right? Like I have been in the seat. I have done the work. I have done venture. But then the other thing I've done, and I think for some of my clients, and I work with a lot of early stage startups, and in those I do a little bit more consulting, guidance. I've been there. Right now it's like I can talk about what's going on your inner world, but like if we don't get 5 clients, it's going out of business. And so I'm going to help you get 5 clients. Like I can switch. I have that like switch mode, right? And we'll get into that stuff down the road. Let's earn that conversation. I would love to earn that conversation with you.
Let's find those 5 so you can pay me.
Yeah.
So I can help you later.
But the other thing, and I think this happens, but as it relates to having hard conversations, creating psychological safe environments where people are saying the real thing out loud, that thing you're paying a the thing you were talking about. It's like, I've also spent 15 years on just that topic, right?
Yeah.
There are so many aspects of business that I am not an expert in, but there are some where I think about them all the time. And so things that feel fresh to like, it might be a topic where you're like, gosh, I've never faced this. It's like, I've heard that 5 times this week, right?
Yeah.
And so there's some benefit to this is, and maybe a part of it's funny you said like coaches have a bad rap. I'm like, man, I grew up in sales. Like sales has a bad rap. I never even knew coaching had a bad rap. I was like, but I also had awesome coaches. I had 3 coaches throughout my career, and kind of to you, maybe each of them were 2 years, and they all truly like had tremendous impacts on who I am. My first coach was a sales coach. And then my next 2 were more like work that I do. And I basically took the work that each of them do, plus my situational experience, and I merged it to create my own little thing, that's like uniquely me. And, and I do think part of how to your point of like, everybody can say they're a coach. One of the things I'm really fortunate in for me is that for years, almost a decade, I've been writing my thoughts on leadership and business and made very public about it. And so then when I started, it's not like, I don't have to convince people. It's more like, hey, this is how I see the world. Yeah. And the people who see the world the way I do are like, I'm not there, but I want to be there. So how can I like have more of this in my life type of thing?
Yeah. Well, maybe as a coach, you can help us to get over our aversion to Gen Z.
I don't have an aversion. You do.
I do.
I know you
I
do.
Well,
I do not.
We don't have to go back to that topic
please
again
don't.
because I'm very, very sensitive. But my daughter was on the podcast because we had taken the holidays off, but I was like, it's at my house. I like doing this podcasting thing, and my daughter's going to be in town. And so I said, let's talk about Gen Z. I want to hear your perspective as, she's kind of entering into the professional world. And so I asked her a number of questions. We spent, maybe an hour and a half talking, and we talked with the recording on. Mm-hmm. There was other talking over the holidays, and she said, well, your complaints, Dad, it sounds like you're a bad manager. Sounds like a management problem.
Yeah, it's you.
And I was like, okay, well then all the people in the business world, everyone I know has a management problem right now because people are saying these same complaints about Gen Z.
Yeah.
So,
which is a little true too.
I'm glad that there's some truth to it. I'm not just crazy.
I heard something on a podcast last night. Every once in a while when I can't sleep, I'll put a podcast on just to help me relax or zone out. But it was a golf podcast, but they were talking about coaches, and they were talking about how disruptive coaching has been to the worldwide issue of golf. And what they're really trying to say is that there's more coaching available on YouTube and Instagram through social media, as well as all these other coaches that have been more disruptive to you becoming a better golfer than actually helping you be a better golfer. Right? And so you said something just a minute ago, Adam, that really made me think about that. And that is, you got into coaching, I think you said, because of that maybe a different lifestyle and you're going to be able to do all the things you said you're going to do. I think a lot of people do that, right? I think a lot of people dive into something where it's not the standard 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever the hours are these days, type job. And they think, hey, I can go out there and do that. Everyone else is doing it, right? And they do it. And then we just have this influx of people trying to be really good at something that they're probably just average at best, right? And that's not you clearly, but the way you've described what you do.
I wouldn't take it personally.
Yeah, well, you're not. But and that's what I mean by when I say I think sometimes it's easy for people, myself included, to bash coaching, just like I bash salespeople. And I'm a salesperson at heart, but there are really good salespeople and there's really shitty salespeople. Just like there are really good coaches, and then there's some really shitty coaches.
Yeah.
That's how
But do you get that influx? Right? Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, that's how I feel about podcast hosts. No,
no shit. No
let's
shit.
talk about anybody could
totally
say they're
agree.
a podcast
right?
host.
Isn't
right.
that the truth?
Defend yourself.
No
Yeah,
way.
at least
We
the barrier.
suck.
At least the barrier to entry is you got to at least buy.
You got to buy some equipment.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean you could.
You don't
just
have
use,
to, but
yeah,
you
that's
did.
true.
So I
That's
guess
You
true.
went all out on the podcast.
So to bring that full circle, it's like all things in life, right? I mean, there's a lot of everybody and everything, and then you just got to figure it out.
Yeah,
And you
I say
hope-
that about marketing. There's regulations to be regulations or some kind of governing body to become a lawyer, to become a doctor,
Right.
to become an accountant.
Yes.
There's certifications for lots of industries that are widely recognized or whatever, but there is no regulation that says what correct marketing is.
Yeah.
Other than results, which you can get terrible results and know that you did or believe that you did everything right.
Yeah.
So when people, when I'm talking with clients about, some of the ways that they approach marketing and things that they've done in the past, or complaints about a prior, decision or consultant or person on their team or whatever, it's like, the only thing I can say to them is there's no rules that say what the right way is.
Yeah.
We don't even have our terms defined well. So there's this
Yeah.
whole thing about branding. You ask any person in the industry what branding means, and they're all going to give you a slightly different answer. And maybe there's a range, but it's going to be a different thing for,
you're right
for
about
every
that,
person.
for sure. Can we go back to your wife for a second? Does she
Sure.
like this version of you doing your new gig versus
she
your?
does very much.
you
Yeah.
know, what does she like about it?
The dish is getting done.
You're home more.
Well, I do think, venture tech took it out of me,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like it was, I'm really grateful for it. I think I got a full career in 10 years.
Yeah.
Did pretty well, could have done great. Like I had the team to do great. It's
Yeah.
amazing how much like there's a element of like, did you have the right product that hit the market at the right time? But it also was like, I had days where I did 14 meetings a day and people followed me to the bathroom, like literally every single time I went to this. So, and I would come home and I was both tired and I was exhilarated.
Yes.
And I've wrestled with the exhilaration part more than anything. Cause I started venture tech when my boys were 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's so fun. And then you'll be at a soccer game or at dinner. And it's not that I wasn't there. I felt like I did do a good job with like boundaries and showing up and being a coach and doing all those things. But up here, I wasn't
24/7.
I wasn't always there.
Yeah.
It made sleeping hard. And, I have days. My business partner just started a new one. Like we both took 4 years off and
For real.
Yeah. And he just launched, and a couple months before he's sharing his business plan, and we know how to work together. And I have those moments of like, oh my gosh, I want to do it again. And
That's a drug sometimes.
Yeah, it
to have.
is. And,
For sure.
I feel a lot of feel. It's hard to explain all of it, concisely, because there's the one part of me that's like, coaching to me is also a very generous profession because it's not about you. Like I get to invest in other people's lives and help their dreams come true. And like, that is a cool thing to give to another person.
sure.
When you're a tech founder entrepreneur, it is about you. You can act like it's not.
It's 100% about you.
And it messes with your, it impacts your ego and impacts, and so, I don't know. It could happen again. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But what my wife though, for sure, and I had the great privilege after I sold my business. I was a podcast host for 3 years. That was my only job, and I got paid for
real.
it. And I recorded a podcast twice a week, and
Wow.
it was awesome. It was a great
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Like, and I think we both got used to a different version of me, who started to like show up in my life in different ways too. And so, I don't know. I think we're also in a different. I mean, I'm a different age than I was then too. Like I enjoy it, and it's also work that when I started telling people this is what I was going to do, most people that know me were like, we've been waiting. Like, it wasn't like some big surprise. It was like, this is who you are, and you're finally getting to do it. But this is what I wanted to do right out of college. And I can't imagine trying to do that with no experience.
that would be
like I wanted to
hard.
be a consultant. That
would be so hard.
Speaking of Ball State, so I gave the commencement address last year. Nice little humble brag in my life. It was the coolest. It was such a cool. I was like, I'm the best thing. Okay, I'll do it. Hey,
that's awesome.
But one of the things I said during that was like, I went to my master's in organizational communication. I wanted to be a consultant, and I quickly found out that like you have to have something to say.
Yes.
And I didn't have anything to say.
You didn't have anything to show for it.
So I went and like got the experience to be able to do that. But it's always been work that's like a great fit.
Yeah, your demeanor is sort of like I don't know how to describe it, but it is like a coach. You're checking in on someone, you care about how they're doing
because I actually
you're observing them.
Because I actually do care.
I do care, yes.
What year did you graduate Ball State, out of curiosity?
I graduated my undergrad in 2004 and then my master's in 2009.
Was Dr. Krakow still there heading up the entrepreneurial program, or had IU taken him by then?
Well, I was not.
You weren't even associated with it.
I was sociology. I picked
what?
I opened the book, the major book.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was several years in at this point into college. And I was like, what's the shortest major? And it was sociology. It was 32 hours.
My best friend from Ball State did that.
But I loved it. The funny thing is, once I got into it, I was like, the study of groups of people. I was like, I found and then I moved into organizational communication, which I really did take really seriously my grad degree. And then, I thought, I got into a PhD program and I thought I was going to be a professor.
Oh, wow.
And that was the same time that it was 2009. So like market crash, had a baby. My wife's an architect. So at the time, the architecture industry was like decimated and she still had a job. Jeez. And we were like, is this really the time to move to Missouri? With two babies, so.
Who's your wife work for?
She does her own thing too.
Nice.
Yeah, she started an architecture firm called Delve Design like 15 years ago. And
we do business with Delve Design.
And then she left there a year ago to start her own thing. So she just started Forethought Design, which is hers too. So she just started that like 3 months ago.
That's awesome.
It's fresh.
Cool. So she was a partner at Delve?
Yeah, she's the founder. She was the original founder.
I didn't realize
then they grew, and then
we do
this last year she transitioned to do her own thing. So
That's
again,
really
we're both
cool.
kind of in that, like, it's funny, we started our first businesses within a year of each other, and then we started these next two within a year or two. We're just kind of on a,
So not a business major, went into entrepreneurship, had great success, and is now coaching. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I got into entrepreneurship because and this is how we met. I was selling $3,000 website. I was wandered around for several years of my career, and this guy offered me a job to sell websites, and I started selling $3,000 websites, but my wife was doing well, and I was like, I got to figure out how to like have a career. And I took sales super seriously and just like kind of, it made sense to me, and I just sort of figured it out, and I went from that to, I sold the exact same product for $100,000, and I wrote a blog about how I did it, like how I just deconstructed, like, here's how I sold a $100,000 website. First blog I ever wrote in my life, and a senior in college read it. My business partner and he sent me a cold DM on Twitter, like, I read your blog. Could I buy a cup of coffee and learn sales from you? And we got a cup of coffee the week before he graduated college, and he told me his business idea, and I was just like, I don't even know if the business idea is gonna work, but it's selling mobile apps, which is similar. It was like also like, I don't sell websites anymore. This is the next step, and then the rest kind of took off from there, which is,
You said something about your professional career, that intoxication piece when you're doing that. When I left corporate America, I chose to leave because I didn't want to be that person anymore. My wife didn't want me to be that person anymore. I was always on a plane. I was always working. I was working when I wasn't working, as you said. The part that really hit home when you said what you said, which was when it stops, it's like, whoa. I used the analogy, I was on a train. I was on a bullet train. I got off at a stop, and the train kept going, and I was just standing there.
That's it.
The phone stops ringing. There's no more text. There are no more emails. There's no one following you to meetings. There's no more crisis. There's a weird feeling. It's a humble feeling. Oh,
it's also it's pretty like
eerie.
Lonely. I was talking to another local founder who had a really great exit.
Yeah.
And then we're both like, boy, you go from also being someone following you to the bathroom, like where you're that important to people, to like nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is a very weird feeling.
ego
I had a
takes a
couple
hit.
years of just like right after, just like, does anybody care about me at all? Like,
Yeah.
was that, or that, and it makes you realize that you think every relationship was like, did they only care about me because of the role power that I had?
Yeah.
You know, that's
Well, there's an
Yes.
interesting feeling that you have to somehow get used to the idea of no longer being on all the time.
Yeah.
You know, your inbox is not as important as you previously thought it was. So most of what you're getting is spam now instead of a bunch of people trying to get your attention. And it is a weird feeling. And I think it's hard for people to unplug from that, because I went from one format of business where there's a bunch of employees to another format where, you know, there's only contract employees when I need them. And the amount of time that takes up is, and when you're in it, it's an unknown amount of time.
Right.
But it is enormously time consuming and possibly not for more productivity.
Oh, I would agree.
You know, depending on the
No, I would
nature of the
agree.
business.
right.
It is amazing how much time just managing a team takes, and there's reasons to do it, but when you step out and like you're doing as a business coach or an individual consultant type of thing, you have, you know, the number of clients you have, that's how many meetings you have.
There's no just, when you're an executive, you go into a week and it's 20 hours of recurring meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the work, and then the impromptu meetings.
Yeah.
When you do your own, immediately you're just like, okay, so all the recurring meetings are gone. There's
Right,
no just business
Yeah.
operation type things that take place.
The idea of having to do, you know, what we're talking about, you'd get through that day, and it wouldn't be until 4:30, 5 o'clock, or even maybe 5:30 where I would even start to think about the emails that came through that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go at it from, I would say, 6:30 or 7 o'clock to close to midnight with 100 plus emails, just
Combing
getting
through emails to make sure
and
that
those
they're checked
were,
off.
Yeah, those were real issues. That was not spam or an advertising. That's real shit coming in from all parts of the world saying, we need answers. What are we doing?
Exactly.
And as much, and I was, you know, obviously I was younger back then, but it's intoxicating. You feel,
It feels important.
Yeah.
And when I was like right at the beginning of my career, I had a pager and a cell phone, and I wore it on my belt because it was popular to do back then anyway.
Drug dealer.
And I felt like I was king shit.
Of course you did. Hell yes you did.
I was
I'm
like,
in
this-
demand.
Man,
This
if we could
pager.
pop this picture up, I hope you have that picture of you.
This pager gets the news on it. And I'm not going to tell you it was just the news. I'm going to pretend like somebody
That's
needs it.
right. That's right. Okay, they can wait.
Yeah, and I it took me years to let go of that,
Decouple from
and
it,
to
right?
now. I mean, I don't even need to look at my phone.
Yeah.
Like, I
half
always
the
thought
time.
you and I were the exact same age until that story right there. I was like, hold on, how old are you?
Yeah, Daniel's got you
I'm
beat.
45.
Daniel's got
That's
you
what
beat
I
by-
am too. We are the same age. You're
Yeah.
just cooler than
Well,
me.
I am cooler, but also
Yeah.
I think I started my full-time working career
before
first
me. That's
because
right.
I didn't go to college.
Oh.
So I started
But-
in a full-time job right at 18.
But
Okay.
you were in a rock and roll band.
Plus,
I was in a rock and roll band too.
No.
Yeah,
That's
You don't
okay.
have- do you have the tats
Two
to
people
show
can
it?
be in a rock and roll
no
band.
tats. I was
It
on the up
it was
and narrow.
more emo. It was more emo.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, I have some
Sorry.
questions that I want to
Okay.
ask you. Now, we can consider this a lightning round if
Oh,
we
I
want.
like it. Yeah, let's do it.
Does that mean you ask fast or I answer fast?
Both.
It means let's not take all night
Okay.
on each question.
Yeah.
There's otherwise no rules. I'm going to let you make
Okay,
some
okay.
decisions
Fast
here.
is good.
So, do you think that anyone can be a leader?
No.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. But give me a little bit more context. It's more electric shock round, not
you're
lightning.
It's funny.
No.
The last podcast
No.
I was answering,
No.
and a person was like, "Hey, lightning," and I was like, "All right."
You should
well,
just go no and no.
I just think there is something really beautiful about knowing yourself and
Yeah.
knowing where you thrive. And I think there are people that are exceptional followers
Mm-hmm.
that could muscle it as a leader, but might also find themselves like always out of not getting
Yeah.
any energy from it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what,
Good answer.
another question, what plagues business leaders most today based on the way you see the business world?
I think losing perspective is probably the number one thing. It's that business is just a series of endless problems.
Yeah.
And when you get overstressed, you lose your perspective. And when you lose your perspective, it makes it harder to solve problems.
Perspective internally or perspective from the business?
Like when you look at a problem from the
got
wrong vantage point,
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that is probably like the biggest challenge.
Okay. All right. What do you see in the state of the economy today that affects the people that you're coaching and people like them every day?
There is a collective uncertainty right now, and that makes it really challenging for leaders to understand the future.
Yeah.
It's just
hard to make decisions.
It's hard to make decisions because then nobody knows if it's going to be really good or really bad. Like nobody knows. I would say
Ford took a $6 billion write-off because one administration says this is the future. Next administration comes in and says, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
how
a
do
tough
you
one.
how do you productively run a
it
business?
just feels
when
uncertain is
Yeah.
the word
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
use.
Have tariffs affected the people? I know that, well, my understanding is that you've spent a lot of your time in the tech world.
Not in coaching.
Okay.
But part of like Amplify was a tech company, but we had a third of our clients are manufacturing.
Gotcha.
And I
So
love
you have
being
other
in
connections,
all.
yeah.
I'm in my clients are like tech, manufacturing, banking.
Got it.
So yes, I have a countertop manufacturer that I work
Yeah.
with, and I have a fabric distributor that I work with.
They're
Those are two of
affected.
my very
Are you
effective.
hearing anything about the way that tariffs worked out for some of your clients?
I mean, I think the uncertainty, and then
But in hindsight, since we've endured a certain amount of the change of tariff rules and so forth, is there any looking back that's been available yet?
nothing I'd feel confident enough to say.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that about the hindsight is because Michael, we talked about it last week, he actually, because he was closing out 2025, was able to look at how tariffs affected their business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, no, true. We could go back and look at Q2, Q3, the volatility of 100% tariff, products on the water. It's literally at the dock, at the port, and they're trying to receive it in, and they're going to receive it in with 100% tariff because it's legit. And then a month later, the tariff is no longer there.
Right.
But the cost of goods took or absorbed that 100% tariff. And so some suppliers were great. They said, we're going to eat as much of it as we can. Others were like, sorry, we're not eating
Yeah.
this.
And there's only so much they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here's another one. So we see a lot of polarization in the world. Now, we don't like to talk about politics on this podcast, right,
At
Michael?
all.
I'm already getting nervous. I was like, oh man, you guys, this is not my jam. I was like, I'm about to give you a do not answer.
We
I like it.
just
You're
about
good,
never
you're good.
talk about politics here.
Ever.
But
Ever.
how does the existence of the polarization that you see prevent business leaders from leading well? Or does it?
Wow. This is lightning round question? Wow.
I don't care if we go deep on it.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to.
Yeah.
Because here, let me give you more context
Yeah,
and
you
maybe help
answer.
you to think about it.
I used to
One
host
job,
a
coach.
podcast. Could I do that?
Good job, coach.
One of the things that I see happening in the world today is that people are so strongly aligned with some point of view that it's separating families and friends, right? So it used to, I mean, I know that partisanship and, the differences of thought process around stuff like religion or anything else has always existed, but it just seems so acute right now that like families are, I remember somebody giving the advice to say, maybe set these boundaries with your families when you go home for the holidays and tell them you can't talk about blah, 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 or don't go at all or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like it's becoming the controlling issue in some cases, especially when the news gets hot on a certain topic.
Well,
So what I'm wondering before you answer is, if there's this presence of that polarization is going to affect the workforce, right? So then you have your CEO that has to decide, how they navigate that playing out in their workspace because it's going to show up there. There was something I was alerted to the other day that is like a walkout event, and some people are wanting to promote it to support their employees participating in this walkout, like a protest type event, and others are like, hey, we need to. Yeah, it's an organized protest that some people are saying we need to not take a position because we don't want to, create a dangerous situation or
right.
whatever. So
Safety.
and great decisions were made with that scenario, but ultimately it is creating a scenario where this company has to think, how do we navigate this amongst our employees? And so it's changing the way that that leadership is having to make decisions. Do you see any of that at all?
I do. I do think one of the things that's challenging is, like, especially, I think in some ways, if you do fall in one of those really polarized tribes, it's almost easier to lead from that place, right? You're just like, I just get to be myself and deal with it. And then I start to bring around my orbit the people like me.
Yeah.
One of the things I think is challenging, and most of the people I work with don't predictably fall. And one of the things I feel tension about, just to be super candid, is I really view my role as like being a safe place for people to process. I work with people on both sides, and who have pretty strong opinions. And I've had both. It's funny, is I've had clients like text me after, go, I just realized I don't even know where, and I was like, cool, that means I did my job. Like,
that's
right.
That's awesome.
And so I want to protect that, because I think that's like an important thing for my role. But I do think sometimes it's hard if you aren't as polarized yourself, but then it's hard to sometimes feel like yourself because you're afraid you're going to get thrown as a leader. Say a public thing, thrown in. I have experienced that at company where I got thrown over to a bucket, and I was like, whoa, hold on, I just want to be like, I just want to go back to this specific issue, Like,
do you think, stay with that for a second, because of that, do you think that leaders that you work with or know are fearful of,
definitely muted.
Yeah. So Daniel and I talk about this all the time. I typically fall in the middle. Somewhere in the middle lies the truth in all things in life. I don't have anything against anybody left or right. I simply want to understand. I have an open mind to understanding how you get there or why you think the way you think. Not judging. I just want to know. I want to be more informed, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And I know you feel the same way, Daniel. What's interesting is when it comes to business, it's incredibly hard to do. It's incredibly hard for leaders to be able to do that, because I think sometimes policy, which is driven by politics, adversely affects the business. And you have to, it's just so freaking complicated today. A core value to me is that I think everybody should be able to express their views on things in ways that are kind and reasonable, respectful. So and for some people it's, I don't want to talk about politics at all, and for others it's, I have to talk about this. I need to get it off my chest, right? And I'm one of those people that likes to talk about politics. No,
but you didn't know that.
No, with friends or like recorded.
Anyone.
Oh,
yeah.
I
think he actually writes about it.
That's cool. I was trying to learn. That's cool.
I publish a blog every Friday that is about politics. Right.
It's good.
But one of my absolutely important core values is that, I stress this to my kids when we're talking about this kind of stuff. It is so important to me that somebody not be ostracized from me because of politics.
Right.
It is incredibly important to me that I am exposed to comfortably and in a friendly way to people that I don't agree with. Because I consider it, my views have changed over the years because of those scenarios where I was just available to listen to someone and they, move the needle on my point of view. And so it's important to me that people feel comfortable at the level that works for them.
I love that. And I love that you talk about like how people change too. Cause I think one of my deep philosophies I hold is that, like, I know I'm wrong, I just don't know what about.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where it's like, for me, and I try to stay curious because I am so different than I was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
I
I've
hope we
grown
all
and
are.
changed. Yeah. But I think, and then how people grow is in safe environments where they
Yeah.
can explore their
Yeah.
ideas and really
Yeah.
ask deep questions and hard questions. And is there logic behind that? And does that really make sense? Does that work at scale, or does that just work for you? Like, and is that the kindest way to handle, it's like these deep virtues that I think people believe, but
We lose some of that in our society
Yeah.
though today, because it's known that we've lost the ability to be critical thinkers as a society. And I blame social media for a large part of it, because it just feeds the information biasly towards what I feel, right?
AI too.
Yeah, absolutely.
both,
Absolutely. So in today's market, it's very easy for me to feel comfortable with what I think based on all this crap coming at me. There's a professor that I think you'll get a kick out of this at a university at Tulane that forces his poli-sci class to identify who they are and their views. These are future politicians.
Yeah.
Identify their views, and then they take a hot topic for the semester. Their grade is dependent on arguing the opposite side.
That's cool.
And it
Yeah.
is beautiful.
I think at a learning stage, that is such
need
a
that.
great skill
You need
to understand how to argue something that you don't agree with,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it forces you to understand the subject.
Right. It forces you to look at something that
Yeah.
you don't want to look at, and if you're going to be good at it, and these kids want to be good, you got to open up your mind. And and candidly, there are things that I have not agreed with recently that when I dig into it a little deeper, I'm like,
You might have been wrong.
I kind of
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that.
Adam, you said something about at the beginning of our conversation about somebody can change if they have a soft heart.
Yeah, that was good.
And I object to the term, but I agree with it 100%.
Yeah, I objected. Honestly, as I said it, I was
Why
embarrassed.
do you object? I like that.
I was.
I like that. Why do you both object to that? That's good.
Oh, you
A soft-
would. You
no,
would.
a soft heart's good, man.
I mean, I was like, it represents the spirit of what I was trying to
A
say.
soft heart is
Well,
an open heart.
But I agree 100%.
right.
I think that it's
Callous.
when I went through, at times in my life that I went through the most change in my ability to relate to people, my ability to connect with my wife and deal with conflict, or changing my views in ways that that I feel have been moving forward and growing and that sort of thing. It's always been because I had this level of humility to say, I am ready for whatever comes out of this, right? Mm-hmm. I am not going to preconceive what the outcome of this conversation is or this moment in my life.
Letting go.
And I think that you talk about thinking of things, critical thinking, and taking a position on some topic or whatever. I think people are always going to have a challenge with critical thinking because it is not the default of the human way of thinking.
Correct.
But if you can first introduce that humility piece, the soft heart piece, soft, chewy heart, then I think that people can change in ways that are phenomenal, allow them to accomplish more in life. And
I agree. Do you find that the people you work with today as a coach, are they critical thinkers, or are they reactive thinkers based on what's hitting them right now?
I'll say, I don't know if that's the right continuum. Like, I do think the thing that all of them are, it takes a lot of courage to raise your hand.
Yeah.
And to be like, I'm doing my best and it's not working. I need a little support.
Just because they've hired you, that says something about their willingness to.
And I mean, it's a non-trivial time investment. Yeah. And it's not like the homework that comes isn't hard. But one thing I wanted to say about, because what you just said, I feel like I actually got to the heart of what coaching is too. Yeah. Conversations without agenda from the listener.
Yeah.
Like sales is a different example, right? Like you deeply listen, but you ultimately are trying to get them to purchase your product or get them to hang up and not purchase your product as quickly as possible. There's only two paths, right?
Yeah.
Whereas coaching is like my agenda is your own self-discovery, and like that is a gift to give to a person because of the partially, and also a confidential container. This conversation we're having right now and how you feel like on edge, a confidential container where you sign a contract that says you can tell me whatever you want here. I'm telling you, the coolest conversations I have in my life are right there.
Yeah.
They know we are bound. They can say whatever they want, and the places they'll go is just like, it's pretty cool to have that space in your life. Like there's when halftime I'm on, I'm like, man, I'd like to like we push pause and
Let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like you're allowed to be vulnerable yourself in those conversations with your client?
Yeah.
Because I know it's a
That's a
space
good
for
question.
them, but can you then let your guard down as well in the same way?
Yeah, not in the same way, but I do try. You know, my old coach Chip Knighty, he lives here in Indy, and we do,
I know Chip.
Okay, yeah,
I love Chip.
And he was a transformative coach for me for several years in my life.
He was my coach for a while too.
Yeah. He met me at he was my first like true executive coach. I had a coach before him, but then and the growth that came from him. But one of the things now is we talk all that we're friends now, and he's like, you know, you do still need to be yourself and on calls. So like I know how much people pay me, and so as soon as the call starts, I love, you know, everybody's month to month with me, so I love the thrill of like I have to add so much value that you stay with, you know, that it's worth your time. So sometimes it's hard for me to be like, hey, today's the day I find out if my son got into Purdue.
Right.
And I've been, you know, I try to give myself a couple minutes at the start to be, and then I also am different than like so if you go through coaching certification and all that, right? It's like, you never share your opinion. You never say what to do. You have to say phrases like, I've put my coaching hat on. I don't do that. I just am like, people pay to work with me. And so I show up as me. Like I don't try to be different than who I am.
I would suspect if you brought vulnerability to the table with the client, that could be construed maybe not in good light, right? Maybe that's like, oh man, I don't need that. I get that at home, or I can get that right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I will say, when hard stuff's going on in your own life though, and that's been a growth for me, and I'm sure Chip would be. It'd be because he's done it for 20 years. But there are days where you go, it's helpful sometimes to show up when you're not doing well. It reminds you how little it is about you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to have the perfect answer. Like, I just need to be
present.
Be present.
Can I ask, as a board, any of the people that you're working with today or have been working with for the last year and a half, have any of the boards come to you and said, we're hiring you to work with our leader, versus the leader is saying, I want to work with you?
Boards or executives to sub-exec.
All those things have happened. There are ones where I meet with boards. I mean, I give update. I've got one next week where I'll meet with the board and share kind of some of the work and that we're doing. Some
of the work with their leadership that gotcha.
You know, it's in that confidential container, but we'll kind of share the big stuff that we're tackling together and that sort of thing too.
That always makes me feel good, honestly, when there's a board that realizes that they've got a leader that is a good leader, or they believe to be a good leader, because they are willing to invest in the continuation of that individual. And that's a positive.
And when that leader is thrilled to receive that, then you know you were right.
I'm pretty good about, like, unless they're willing and ready. There are plenty of coaches. There are plenty of people looking for clients. It is
don't
not
need that headache.
Fun to coach someone who doesn't want it. Do you know how long 50 minutes is? 50 minutes is a long time to listen to someone, and it's a longer time to fake it.
Kidding.
I thankfully haven't experienced that, but I know friends who have it. I'm like, I don't want that to be a part of my practice.
I couldn't do it.
We good here?
Yeah. I used to teach guitar to a couple of kids, and that's exactly what I was dealing with, is people that their parents wanted them to learn, they did not.
Can we talk about guitar for a quick second?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So,
acoustic or electric?
I just want to, maybe this ends with you helping me get better at guitar.
He loves this.
I'm a decent songwriter and singer, a better singer than guitar player.
You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Just as a speaker.
I do all spoken word bands.
I feel the Truthic band starting to form right here in my presence.
Yeah.
The cymbals are going to get used again.
But then, and so like was in, played guitar, but like, okay, and then I was better when I was playing all the time, but not that good. Like I never got to that next level.
Yeah.
And then career started. And then more recently, truly the last 2-3 years, I've been saying I'm going to get back into guitar, but I'm not actually committed to it. And a lot of it's because I think for me to write the songs that I have within me, I need to get better than where I am at guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get better right now. I feel a little stuck. So
does
anyways,
he.
but he's better than me.
We
The
just
fact
had
that
this-
he gave guitar lessons
We
tells
just
me.
had this conversation last week after the
Well,
podcast.
I will say that I am not a phenom. I am not an aficionado on the guitar, but I know the fundamentals, and I know how to play songs, and so basically the times in my life. So I started with guitar, and then I picked up drums at like 17 or 18 years old, and then became a really good drummer, and eventually was in a band playing drums professionally. So we traveled a lot, played a lot of shows, got paid a little bit. But with guitar, it's always been kind of background for me. And the only reason why is because the timing of when I picked up drums just hit to where it led to me getting
You got to lean in, get your hours
and
in.
that opportunity. Yeah, the hours is absolutely critical. So for guitar, I had like certain seasons where I crested in my skill, and every time it was obsession based. So I get obsessed with things, and I get totally focused on that thing for a period of time. So I had I learned a lot of the basics and the fundamentals, and never got really good. One day I picked up the guitar and realized I didn't have to think about the chords. They were just happening. So I had slowly gotten to the basic level, just being able to say I can play guitar, just that very basic level. And then I had this period of time as a young adult, late 20s or so, where I just said, I really want to, focus on this. And I spent all day, every day, literally. When I say all day, I mean throughout the day. I don't mean nonstop.
Okay.
It was like right in my office, ready to, grab, and I played all the time. And just constantly picking it up. And then I found myself sitting and watching TV when I'm not playing. I don't want to be disruptive to my wife, who's also watching TV. And I'm doing scales while I'm sitting there. So the only way to get good is to have the hours.
Yeah.
That's it.
Put the time in.
And I think that for people like us, where we're working all the time, we have a little flexibility to where we can squeeze some things in. The best way, and the way that I do it, is some days I don't touch my guitar, but I have it hanging on the wall. I grab it and I play between breaks just to stay sharp.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any other way.
Yeah.
And then playing with people is critical. And that's something I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do with guiar.
Until now.
Until now.
The
Adam
band,
shows
the
up
Truth
and the
Ain't
band
is here.
I love it. Before we call it a show, what's the one thing you'd like people to know, or our audience to know, about coaching? What's the one big takeaway or myth that you'd like to dispel?
I think, it's fun. It's interesting. I was like thinking less about just coaching itself and more about like, if you couldn't do coaching, for example, like what might you do, And I think, adding intention to your life in general is probably the biggest thing. Like whether that's your morning routine and what you write out is like, or before a meeting, taking a deep breath and saying how you want to show up. But like recognizing that like you are not a victim to your own personality, but like you get to decide.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good advice. I think that's going to set us up for the week.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I can't
it was
believe I came on a podcast about about coaching, and I had no. It's funny. On the way here, I was talking to some friends, and they were like, they're like, so how? I go, it's 2 hours. They go, what's the topic? And I go, I actually don't know.
No one knows.
They're like, how are you?
We don't know.
How are you going to do that? I go, I don't know. It'll work out, and it did.
It seems like it worked perfectly.
Yeah, it does. It's like 3 guys sitting at a bar just
That's great.
talking. Yeah, it was
right.
awesome. Thanks.
Everybody have a great week.
Cheers.
So
That was
fun.
good.